That'll be to the cloud. All right, here we are. We're live. Welcome, Coaches Transformation. See, I got to wave a bunch, so get people's attention. Yay, you guys, this is so exciting. You do not want to miss this. I am super stoked to have one of our clients on today to share with you a little bit, like, through the journey and the upgrades. Charlie was like, I was sleeping. So I'll let Daddy get him, and I'll just introduce, this client. We've been working very closely together over the past few months, and, I'm going to let him really share, like, where he was and what's happened. I want to welcome Benson Fox to our live and our group, and Benson is an incredible person. He's going truly never ceases to amaze me when we talk. He's going to school full time. He's rocking his coaching. He's just got a lot going on, and really a stand and making a difference in Jewish men's lives. So first off, thank you. I really want to acknowledge you for everything that you take on in your life and being able to be effective in all of them. Right. So where are you guys going?
I'm getting your money.
Oh. I want to step out and get some money. So Benson, thank you so much for being here. Why don't we start off a little bit and just share a little bit about you, what it is that you do. And we'll start there first.
So Holly, thank you so much for that introduction. I don't know if I can beat those expectations, but I'll do my best.
It was all truth. There's nothing to beat. You just be.
Okay. Thank you. So what was the question?
Well, just share a little bit about you, what you do.
Okay. So my name is Benson Fox. I'm 26 years old, Orthodox Jew at the Kippah. And yeah, so I grew up in a very Orthodox home, stayed the path. I was in yeshiva full time for till even just a few years ago, probably about 5 years ago is when I was really full time. Kind of drifted off into doing more, not drifted, chose to take a path to do a major in psychology. Then I got into a psychology doctoral program, and I'm currently in my second year of that. About 2.5 years ago, I part of what I was trying to get certified as a coach to boost up my resume to get in. I didn't take it very seriously, the profession. I thought it was a joke. I tried it out. I realized that there's a different role to be played with facilitating people to their goals versus treating people's mental health. And I saw there's a strong value in it, and empowerment, in dealing in the present, action planning, problem solving, facilitating. So then I did it, and yeah. So that's a little bit about me.
And now you're doing group, and you're like, wow, I'm really good at this, and I love it.
I love the group. I'm telling you, the group is my favorite part of my day. A week, really. It really is. I go in, could be down. I go into the group. I come out. I'm like, this is what I was meant for. This is my.
So there's a lot of interesting things here. First, you were charging $300 a month or $50 per session.
Yeah, in that range. Right? Yeah.
And people were haggling you down and beating you up on price and stuff. Tell us a little bit about that experience.
Yeah. So I started 2.5 years ago. So I started doing the LinkedIn, building the connections, and I had 17,000 connections, and I started doing this and posting and this and that, but it really wasn't getting me very far. And the people that I was attracting, I was like, oh, free sessions, starting out, I'm here to help, whatever you need. Oh, payment plan, no problem, whatever you want. We'll start small. I want you to feel safe and this. And I was coming from a very good place, and I still try to incorporate that to some degree, but it was way out of balance. And what was happening was it wasn't serving me or my clients, because they weren't getting to their result, because they weren't committed to me. And it was, even a little bit sometimes of even, I would consider perpetration, pushing me, this isn't even fair. This isn't right. And I was feeling squeezed, underappreciated. I was trying to do bark.com, Thumbtack, haggling with that company, trying different approaches, cheaper, a little bit more expensive by the month. And I was not finding a rhythm. I was not getting the written testimonials, and then it just really wasn't like people thought it was like a cute thing I was doing. Benson, very industrious. That's a and and for me, I was just like, kept on experimenting and trying things, and I just realized it wasn't working well for me. I was like went into Corona with like 6 of these $50 a month clients. Like 4 of the 6 like dropped me right away in Corona, and I just was like, what am I even doing? Like I killed myself to get these people, and then it's just like, oh, that's it. And now during Corona, we're gonna get to this later, but yeah, I'm doing really well. It's nothing to do with that. It has to do with the people I'm attracting and what the process of they have, and in how they're engaging with me and what they're looking to get from me.
Yeah. So, all right. So you years, right, had this huge ass following. That's something I even forget about, is you have this huge ass following, but you're still only getting like a client here and there, and they're like kind of nickel and diming you for $50 a month and like all this like ridiculously stuff, right? Like you're like the antithesis of so much we teach. It's hilarious. We were, and and now it's amazing. And so the other thing was group. So you kind of you only did one-on-ones, right?
Yeah.
So like what kept you in that realm of like it has to be group or it has to be one-on-one and like this is the way and like type thing?
Yeah, so I felt like group is just like it's a way to make money, and you're not giving people the attention they need and deserve, and it's just a way to leverage yourself, and it's selfish to do that. Um, and to a certain degree, I do think it is effective way to leverage, but I see now that there's no problem with that because it serves a different purpose. It's like coaching in the mental health thing, where I was dismissing the coaching. It serves a specific purpose. There's things that come up in my group when I'm running it that no one feels safe enough to say to me one-on-one. I'm like, really? They're like, oh, I have this going on in my life. I'm like, wait, we just had a session. You didn't tell me that. You tell the whole group that? I'm like all insulted. But what the truth is that the group is a safer place. They feel supported in a way that they don't get from me. So I guess for me, it's just recognizing that there is something you can only get from one-on-one, but there's also something you can only get from a group. And part of my package of supporting my clients needs to come to try to support them from every way to maximize the chance that they're going to get to their results.
Really? Okay. So that's interesting because a lot of people tell us like, oh, like my people aren't going to feel like it's a safe space in a group and like this and that. But you've actually seen like the complete opposite.
Yeah, the complete opposite, where people are, I find that clients are more likely to fight with me in a group setting.
Mm-hmm.
Like just in a session, like one of them was like, you little anti-Semite thing, self-hating Jew, to me, which is the funniest thing to say to me. But I'm like an proud Orthodox Jew, very like, opinionated, very out with my beliefs. But I said like the word like I'm a cheap Jew or something, and he felt so comfortable to call me out in front of everyone. And then we talked about it, and then we're like, oh, Daniel, I feel like I'm getting some aggression from you, and we spoke about it. I'm like, oh, how did the rest of the group feel about that aggression? And I'm like, oh, so let's talk about cheapness. Is cheapness a good thing? It's a good part of you, it was a very great discussion. He felt very good about it. I felt good about it. The group got a tremendous value. They thought it was safe to fight, and it just added to the group, and that's something that he would never have done in a one-on-one session. So that's like something that'd be unique value of learning how to engage, how to communicate, how to feel safe in conflict. So that was something that was much more effective in a group setting to teach and to learn than in a one-on-one. Just one example.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome.
Nice. Okay, so you're attempting all these different platforms and had all this following, but still not really landing like high paying clients or consistent clients. So where was the turning point when you started? Like, what was the breakthroughs that you had when you started working with us that caused all of these shifts?
Okay, so there were.
And I would say like Holly's been working with you like way more than I have, so I'll give her credit for like 99% of your success. So just we'll say that.
Yeah. No, so yeah, what Holly was teaching me how to do, there were a few things that really came up that I think made the biggest difference. One big major shift was I was caught in this double sale of teaching life coaching and then selling myself as a separate thing to that. I'm like, okay, life coaching, and then me being your life coach. And that was a very tough sale. Um, when really people don't care about my credentials. I mean, they may care about it just to like, okay, he has a lot of credentials. They don't actually like, there's no scrutiny. People don't care what my process is as long as they connect to me and my style and my as a person really. And it sounds like this is something that's attracting them to it. So just making the shift, I guess, I think, Holly, I think the way you said it to me was focusing on the whole and not the drill. Like the drill is like the process and the hole is the result. You don't need to sell them the drill, sell them the hole. And then you're just happen to be that drill that's hanging, that's like on the desk and you're like just there and like, oh, you want this result? Okay. There's a drill right here. Hey, I'm right here.
That's a really great point. Okay. So, let's just kind of drill into that.
Drill.
Um,
Let's take that drill and drill in a little bit more.
so no,
Dad,
so,
my holy coach.
so it's,
Holy.
yeah. So this is the thing. It's like especially if you're in a niche, and we'll talk about that too, because you kind of you resisted the niching thing too. So we'll talk about that. Actually, let's talk about resisting niching first. Like you were fighting that like crazy. Like you wanted to work with everyone, even like we kind of brought you in, and then you kind of fought it, and then you're able to like really commit to like working with who you're going to work with. So what kept? Yes, that's freaking amazing. So good. And so why did you like not want to niche? And then what was the thing that like went, okay, I guess this makes sense.
So a few things. Wow, this is loaded. I still have a few more things to go from before, so we'll get to that in a minute.
Good.
So there's the main resistance to niching, I think for me, is that I do want to work with anyone and I feel like I could be effective with anyone. So if I'm going to be effective with anyone, then what's my reason to tell people no? It's like I'm going to this profession to help people, to be good. And I don't want to be telling people no if I can help them. The mistake in that approach is that there's, when you're dealing with online game versus, meaning I still will work with anyone. I work with a Christian person. I don't just say, oh, Jewish? Nope. Too bad. Not Jewish. Get away. I don't do that. But when you're dealing with a business, you can't, again, so another thing that Holly said that really resonated with me was that you could scream from the rooftops and no one will hear you, or you could whisper in someone's ear and then they'll really hear you. So it's not even about what you'll actually end up doing for me. It's about attracting people and having people be able to agree and receive you as someone that could be their coach. So it's more about them agreeing to allow you to coach them than it is about who you are only going to work with. So for me, it's like more of like a business aspect of it. And that helped lower my resistance by realizing it's more strategic than it is like exclusive.
It's good. Okay, so let's talk about back to the drill thing. So because I think this needed to come first before we could really go into that. The idea of like, especially in your niche or in a niche that's not super welcoming or aware or like really warm to the idea of hiring a life coach, right? Especially in those, like all the other ones, it's like, because there's some niches that's like, it's like fancy to have a life coach, right? Like, there's just like, in the, I don't know, like what millennial spiritual niche, I'm guessing is probably like cool to have a life coach. But like in like 90% of all other niches and groups and all of this stuff, it's not like there yet. Right. And so the idea of like, you have to sell them on the idea of a life coach, then you have to sell them on the idea that you should be their life coach. It's like a double resistance. Right. And so what you were able to like have that breakthrough was is like, I don't want to be your life coach. I just want to get you these results. And, it's cool, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, that's super cool. So yeah, did you got anything here?
No, you're doing great.
Thanks. I love this.
I know you do.
And
Stay
so
shine.
There were a few other things though.
There you
Before.
go.
You said what got you to results. So this was one thing. This is just, so it's about the niche, about, getting the niche. It's about focusing on the result versus the process. That's the way I would break that down. And then there were a few things. One of them was also lowering my resistance to doing a Facebook group. So even just like about 2 months ago, I was still resisting it. And I was saying the WhatsApp group, I already have that built in. I already have like 50 people here, 20 people there. I'm like, it's already a thing. It's like kind of a waste to just now, WhatsApp means I'll have their phone numbers and this. And I was still like resisting doing Facebook group. And the fact is 3 of my 4 people came from the Facebook group. 3 of the 4 new people that I got. So that was clearly something that was.
So it's interesting, even though you had 17,000 followers on LinkedIn, you have however many followers in WhatsApp, weren't really getting clients. But when we gave you the Facebook strategy, and now you have about, 500 people in your group on Facebook?
Yeah, 320, yeah.
320. Yeah, I couldn't remember those 3. So 320. Out of 320 people, more people came from your Facebook group than all these other locations. It's really interesting.
Yeah. It's not. So what? That was something else that I learned. I was not about like that was also a mentality that I have was off that you helped me with. It's not really about building the numbers. It's really about getting very clear about who you're working with, what results are you getting from them, and then messaging and getting on at least always online to be gearing towards that that demographic and speaking to their pain points and speaking to this result that they're going to be getting.
Yeah, awesome. Very cool. So if you, what are we at here?
So let's talk a little bit about like the results that you've had.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you went from, $50 going on Bark and Thumbtack and haggling, where are you at now? Let's talk a little bit about that.
Oh, I'm not going to hate on Thumbtack because one of my 4 clients came from Thumbtack. So
we won't hate it all.
Well, no, that's interesting because that's actually another kind of objection thing that people, or not even objection, but mindset thing that people have is they're like, oh, these sites, these Thumbtack, Barks, and these and those give you low quality people. Right, but it's not about the platforms. It's about the positioning and the process, right?
Right. So that was another piece that I was going to add of what you gave me that I was missing was on these calls the qualification process. Mm-hmm. That was a very key point because that guy I got from Thumbtack, when he came on, he was drooling for me. I actually came late. I came like an hour late to the session, which is so totally unprofessional. Usually let's say my success rate on these calls, let's say it's 20-30%. Like at that point, it's going down to like 1%. But he came in with such a strong rapport with me because I had him read all my articles beforehand. He loved them. He was so eager to get to know me and understand. He's like, an hour late? Oh, sure, no problem. Without that qualification process, it would have been like, this guy's a joke. He didn't show up to the call. What an unprofessional person. I could just imagine what our coaching with him is going to be like. But since he was already such a strong rapport with me, he could like handle that. Okay, he came late. Okay, I come late to things. So it's like I'm already his friend before we even jumped onto the call. So that's where the qualification process really, that was what made the difference.
All right, I'll take credit for that one. That's good. Good, awesome, dude. So now you've landed 4 clients, and they're all like high ticket sales, right? Talk about the process of creating that program with Ollie and what that looked like and how you were able to go from this kind of struggling to do, $50 sessions and getting nickeled and dimed and all that stuff to putting together a $6,000 program and now upping it to $7,000. And I'm guessing you'll probably up it here soon again.
Okay, so part of it, another part that I was missing was also that you come to people, it's part of selling the result versus the process, but part of that is making a more expansive process to support them from more angles. So for me, what I told them is, instead of just saying you get to pay for this, it comes with this amount of sessions. Instead of presenting it like that, I say, we're getting to this result. Here's the 4 parts of my process that gets you there. Daily texting accountability. We have my video course, and then we have the one-on-one group session once a week, an hour and 15 minutes. And we have the once a week one-on-one session for a half hour, 45 minutes. So when you present it like that to them, they're not buying my time, they're buying the result, and the result comes from a very big, broad process. So with Holly, when we had the offer call with her, she was kind of trying to figure out, we created, remember the curriculum we made together?
We did. I do. Yes. I do.
That was awesome. So then I made it. So I went on.
I remember the light bulb that you had too when we brought this all together. You're like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this, but really I want to do this. And I'm like, why can't we do all of it?
Exactly. Why can't we do all of it? And I'm like, ta-da. And yeah, so then you told me, you found me also a lot of the technical know-how, let's say finding it on thinkific.com, how to navigate the groups, how to create an attractor factor on the, on my profile, like optimization of the profile. So there's some like technical aspects to it, but and then I think probably the biggest thing, to be quite honest here, is just the push. It's having someone that I need it by the next Holly call. I got to get this done, So it's like, it's a little bit, I'm like a little kid in school again, but maybe that's what I needed. So, and I think that's what a lot of people need. And that was something that I needed. And it got me to take consistent action for just even like 5 weeks or 5, whatever it was. And that was like enough. And then I ended up landing these people, and it built, one thing led to the next and led to the next. And that was a big deal for me, those sessions and the accountability of what those sessions offer, to ensure that I would be taking that type of consistent, massive action every week, specific action.
Yeah. It's good.
I'd beat you up if you don't do your homework.
Yeah. She whips out the ruler or something.
That's what these marks are.
Nice. Dude, I feel like you're like, since you've joined our program, I feel like you're like lighter. Like you have like so much like you've when you were a little like there was like too much starch in your shirt when you came in. And then now I feel like you've like really like chilled out and like you're having fun. And I'm just so excited to see you like this.
Just leave it to Chad to like put it like like right between the eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. Yeah, no, I think it's true. I think part of it is like the freedom, the financial freedom ends up also realizing that there is a balance to be struck between, I would say like a seriousness, a heaviness, and versus there's a momentum that some positive energy offers, a creativity, a spontaneity that gets things move, and you work with the flow of where things are, and not everything needs to be controlled and consciously thought out and connecting every little dot along the way of how it's forced, and I know for sure how it's going to end up there. Kind of like more like going in with my inner energy and like kind of trusting where it's going to end up.
Yeah, that's huge, because when you can like just kind of let go of and not try to control this process, like it's not always going to turn out the way like we didn't think. Like we knew you were going to have results, but we didn't know like it was going to be like this, right? Like
as fast.
Yeah. Well, who would have thought here like, I guess you created a year program with him, but I didn't know you guys were creating a year program, or like that was gonna be a thing. That's not usually a normal thing. So that was really cool. And then just the fact that you're signing these like long-term deals is so cool. And just and I feel like you just have this, like, you could just keep on doing it, right? Like you have a process down. I mean, only if you had a process to like convert those 17,000 LinkedIn people, right?
We're working on it.
Now it's 19,000, but yeah.
Yeah, there you go. I don't even know where all these people are coming from, but geez. So that's really cool. So now that's the next, or I guess that's the big thing. So, okay, cool. So let's,
Oh,
if you,
go ahead.
sorry, no, go ahead.
No, so what were some things that almost stopped you from working with us? Was there anything? Like, I remember it took a little bit. Just a
Like
little.
a year and a half.
Okay. So I'll be as authentic as I can be.
Yeah.
I had a bad experience. So I was trying originally, about, I would say about a year and a half ago, I was considering hiring you guys. And it was at the same price point with you and a different business coach person. And then he like threw in tons of more promises, and he wrote a whole thing of what he's going to give me. And I'm like, okay, this sounds better than that. These guys, they're sitting there drawing they're on the same camera, like drawing their things. I'm like, okay, these guys, I'll go with the guys giving me this whole document of exactly what he's going to do. And I went with him. Ended up being like a complete fraud. Didn't take me serious. Wasn't taking it seriously. Was just short on funds. So he took me on and like promised me the world. Didn't follow through with me. I felt so burnt by that. And I was just like, okay, these business coach people are just fakers, and they just want my money. They all messaging me to get my money. And I really felt very burnt. And I thought my skepticism to the process, but I felt very justified by it. Even with the written contracts and things, they're still causing the thing. Wrote a bunch of nasty reviews and whatever. And it just was very unpleasant. It's still like, I'm upset about it. And I was just like, but at a certain point, I reached this point. I'm just like this. You know what? Okay, so let's go with the other people. But at the end of the day, I'm like, do I know that's going to work? I'm like, no. But I'm like, I got to try something, because otherwise I'm going to end up like the rest of, people in my certification program. And I see with everyone that it just becomes, the whole thing becomes like almost like a silly posting, this, that's hoping something will happen. Nothing's happening. No one's person here, person there. It's not a real system. It's not a real business. And I realized, okay, could it not work? Yeah, it's possible. No one's, but then I saw enough people. I read enough case studies like the one we're doing right now, where it's real people getting a real result. And I'm like, okay, it could not work, but it's worth a try if I take myself seriously enough that I'm confident with my abilities that they can translate in the real world, that people, and I want my impact to go into the real world. I have to try something. And if I see there are real people getting a real result from it and making real money, and then it can make a real thing, it's worth a try. I was just as surprised as you guys that it actually translated, that it worked. And I'm just like, it was a bit surreal. I still remember like the conversation I had with one of my clients. They're like, so you don't expect us to pay the $6,000 up front, of course. I'm like, no, of course, it is upfront unless there's a need-based thing, then I'm willing to make an exception. Like, oh, there's no problem. They're like, oh, how do you accept it? I'm like, oh, Zelle, of course. And they're like, they press like send $6,000 and they're like, oh, it didn't go through. Is it okay if we do $5,000 to now? Because that's the limit, and $1,000 tomorrow. I'm like, you know what? As long as you schedule it now, then we could just get started to do the $5,000 now.
That's so amazing.
Like, you know what I mean? So like that, to me, it's very surreal. It's still very surreal for me. But there's like incredible momentum. Like this poster is almost brand new. I have like my lighting on the sides. I don't know if you could tell, the mic and stuff. It's just I'm taking myself seriously. I'm going on these podcasts now. I just had one with Jewish men. I just got a few more scheduled. I'm going to tell you more about that later, Holly.
Oh yeah.
And there's just like a very real momentum and a very real thing to this whole thing. And you really got, if you take yourself seriously, as long as there are real people that are that are getting results from someone, then I think you got to try it, because if you actually want it's not, I'm not good at business. I was never took a business course before. So I need to go to the people who this is their superpower, and the superpower worked for me. And I think it could work for whoever's listening here today too.
So if somebody was on the fence of like hiring us, what would you tell them?
I'll tell them everything I just said, and I would add, that you're not good at this. You're good at helping people, and go to the people who are experts at this. And I think the cheapness also, businesses, you pay a few $1,000s of rent just to get something for a month, and that whole month you're stocking shelves. Just like a normal business, you need to invest, and here there's such a minimal investment necessary, there's minimal cost. It's really, I think, with people with not investing, and if they're not doing well now, if they're doing well, keep up. If you're not doing well, then you got to invest in something that will translate. And I think making this investment is what every business does to get started. They take out loans of $50,000, $1 million, $2 million, that they're all going down the tubes right away in terms of buying supplies and space. This is like a pretty minimal investment that has translated for enough people that I think, it's worth giving it a try. Will it work for sure? No, but it's definitely worth a process, and you'll for sure learn a lot anyway. Even in the worst case scenario, you'll learn a lot about funnels, processing, messaging, and that alone would probably be worth it even by itself.
For sure. Yeah, that's something our coach said. He's like, a lot of people are just looking into ROI of hiring a bit of a coach or a mentor, but there's this like untangible return on investment. It's there's programs out there that charge $10,000 just for what Holly does with people to help them put together a program. There's programs that charge, $35,000 just to work on messaging. This is not about, helping them with a process to get clients. This is just, there's programs that, that charge a ton of money to help you with your sales process and the qualifications and like the calls and all of that. There's time management courses and mindset coaches there's no ROI there. It's all of it, right? We put all of that into working with our clients. So it's really like a holistic solution. So anyways, I go off on a tangent.
Yeah.
But anyways, if you're watching this and you're live, drop a me below. Let's have a conversation. See if it's a good fit. See if we can help. We'll do those qualification questions so you know what they're like. And if it's a good fit, then we'll book a call with our team. If it's not, then, high five.
All as well. Yeah. Benson, I super appreciate you taking the time. And this is a lot of fun. Always is.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. And if you're watching this, go ahead and click that button or comment below me. And, let's have that conversation. See if we can help you in any way. Appreciate you, dude.
See ya.
Yeah. Thank you.